Gloria Legacy Z-2017-20, site plan application with use and bulk variances for the construction of a rear addition and two-car garage in a mixed-use building at 294 Lee Avenue, Block 259, Lot 7, zoning district R-5A. Just before we start, is there any member of the board that has a conflict with this application?
I have a conflict. A family member is listed as owner.
She has previously indicated that there would be a conflict and she would not be sitting for this application. There are 5 members remaining. I know we're expecting one more, an opportunity to speak with council. I think that they've agreed that they would flip-flop so that we could proceed with the second application first with the chairman's permission.
Sure, I don't see a problem with that. Okay. This is,
Sorry.
I'll just start reading it. Legacy Z-2017-20, site plan application with use and bulk variances for the construction of a rear addition and two-car garage in a mixed-use building at 294 Lee Ave, Block 259, Lot 7, zoning district R-5A. And on the record we have board member Evelyn Stone has left, or she has a conflict with this application.
And the same last name as my client.
That's right.
And Mr. Chairman, just as you had indicated, the site plan and use variance, preliminary and final site plan use variance, seeking bulk variances as well for minimum front yard, rear yard, side yard setbacks, minimum lot width and depth, building coverage, impervious coverage, and floor area ratio.
Okay, thank you.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Mark Shane. I'm an attorney in Edison. I'm with the firm of Shane & White, and I'm representing the applicant, Gloria Legacy, which is owned by 2 brothers, the Ascona brothers, who are both here this evening. I'm sorry to say, no, I'm sorry. This is a convenience store, and you're used to those, so you're experts at this juncture. My clients have operated a number of them. They still operate them in the city of New Brunswick. The site has been a site, the first floor of this building has been a commercial property for at least 60 years. It's been a grocery or convenience store.
Keep talking.
Prior to that, it was a meat market, as we understand. So the existence of the building, the use of the building, the residential upstairs and the commercial downstairs, has been that way for almost as old as I am. Lot's 50 by 65 feet. It's a corner lot, 2-story building. The ground floor is presently used as my client's grocery store. There's 2 residential units upstairs, which have restrictions that they cannot park in the parking behind the building. It's existing. My client only wants to improve this property from the condition that it's in now. You'll hear testimony from our planner, engineer, and architect, as well as my clients. There used to be a garage in the back of this building. The footprint is still there. It was taken down. My client wants to put up a building, which is the substance of this, so they can store their goods for their business. Parking back there would only be used for the deliveries in and out of that site for the storage area. They want to enclose the stairway from the 2nd floor, residences going downstairs, and they want to create an area where they can enclose the refuge area for their refuge from the business that they have. That's the sum and substance, pretty much, of the project. Most of the things that you see there are existing, the side yard, the setbacks, all of it. It's been there for a long, long, long period of time. I'd like to call, if I could, Ramona Stona.
You said that, I guess I could wait until they discuss it, but you said something you're going to close off the stairwell on the 2nd floor?
Not close it off, they're going to enclose it.
Oh, enclose, okay.
They're not going to hear the
Okay, I was just going to say, wait a second.
That would be the problem.
Yeah, okay. Good.
You say your name, spell your last name?
Ramon Ascona, A-Z-C-O-N-A.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may proceed.
Just state the address for the...
294 Lee Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey, 08901.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Ascona, you are a principal and one-half owner of Glory Legacy, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You own that with your brother?
Yes, sir.
And he's here this evening, is that Ernesto?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have other businesses in the city of New Brunswick?
Yes, we have 2 other businesses.
Are they similar to the one you operate here?
Yes, we have a second store, and the third one is laundry.
Okay. How long ago did you purchase this property, if you recall?
The business, we've been there since December 2009.
And you purchased the building when?
That's back in January 2016.
Okay. And you've been operating it consistently ever since 2009, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have residential tenants upstairs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they have leases?
Yes, sir.
Do the leases indicate they cannot park on the site, is that correct?
Right. Yes, sir.
And you have some employees who work for you in the site, is that correct?
Yes.
And do they park their cars there?
No.
Okay. And do 3 of them walk to work, of those that work there?
2 of them do.
2 of them do. How many employees do you have, 4?
4, yes, sir.
You heard me indicate a few moments ago to the board what you intend to do to the site. You want to improve the site, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're going to put new signage,
Yes.
you're going to replace the signs,
Yes.
okay, with conforming signs, is that correct?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. You want to enclose the rear stairs coming out,
Yes.
and you want to put up an area where you can receive supplies for your business.
Yes. That's
And
correct.
that would be in the back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you want to enclose the garbage area,
Right.
we
Yes.
call it refuse garbage.
Right. Yes, sir.
Anything else you're intending to do with this application in terms of the building itself?
No, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Escone at this juncture.
The storage facility that you're going to have, is it going to be refrigeration and stuff like that, or is it just going to be dry goods?
Dry goods.
So you won't have any compressors or anything outside running for the neighbors, right?
No.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to put in?
Yeah, I have one more. You've got existing storage right now, correct?
Yes, and we're using a garage nearby from another property that we own.
Okay, so you'll continue to use the existing storage area as well as that new storage area?
Yes.
That deliveries are going to come in to that new storage area. They're not going to be delivering off the street. They're going to come into a parking lot and deliver?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a driveway that comes up to where the garage used to be. That's where they would be delivering. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but they won't be on the street? They'll
No.
be- Okay, thank you.
Any other
So,
questions?
yeah, my question, so the area that you're going to make the storage area, so you'll have that under lock and key? So that obviously nobody can get in there or,
As of right now?
No,
No,
when
when
you
it-
build it,
when
you're
you-
going to have a lock and key on it.
Yes, yes.
okay.
Yes.
It's going to be
And will
secure.
you
Yes.
have like security lights or something so that, you know, God forbid somebody tries to break into that area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's my question.
Any other questions? No? The next witness.
I'd like to call our architect.
Good evening, my name is Gary Siegel,
Please spell your last name.
S-E-G-A-L.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may proceed.
My office is located at 272 Closter Dock Road in the city is the name, Closter, New Jersey.
Chief?
Yeah, he had, you
I'm
had.
going to qualify on that.
Oh, you're going to pop up? Sure, absolutely.
What is your educational background?
Graduate of Pratt Institute, and in my own practice, running my own office for about 35 years.
Are you licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
I'm licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. As a matter of fact, there's a licensed planner as well, and in New York and Connecticut
How long have you been a licensed architect in New Jersey?
since 1987.
Have you testified in front of any boards?
I testified in front of several boards in New Jersey and New York State and Connecticut. And in New Jersey, I've been accepted as an expert witness in over 18 municipalities.
You're going to be testifying as an architect?
That's correct.
Okay.
As a planner.
We will accept him as an expert in architect.
Thank you.
Mr. Siegel, would you please indicate to the board the nature of the application and what my clients, your clients intend to do with the site?
It's an existing building, as was presented. I'm sure that most of you seen it, or in any case familiar with it. It's a mixed use between the first floor commercial and second floor 2 apartments. We're looking to actually accomplish a number of goals in this project. One is to have and this is the most important for my clients, to have better and safer storage, but also because they are not only the owner of the business, but the owner of the property. They're looking to improve the entire building with new finishes inside and outside. We're looking to bring up to code many areas which needs improvement as the code changes for fire prevention, electrical, plumbing, a lot of improvements in that direction. Safety is also addressed by enclosing the stairs, access to the second floor, and actually rebuilding the stairs to comply with code. Will be a new approach in the entire fire prevention throughout the store. Refers to maximum occupancy. Will be improvement for lighting, and needless to say, because I'm the architect, I paid a lot of attention how this building will look facing the street, the main street, the front elevation. The signs, as my client mentioned, will be designed and submitted for approval by a sign company. So we'll have a better access in the store, and I think the overall description of this project is improving and enlarging the facilities of this store at the first floor. We are not changing in any way the apartment layout.
One other question. The refuge or the trash at the present time, is there any place where it's enclosed right now?
No.
And what are you proposing?
We're going to have recycling, oil-based trash, every single classification, and I'm sure our site designer and planner will address this as well. So that will be chopping out of the new space created for storage, as you can see on the layout.
It will be enclosed, is that correct?
It will be absolutely enclosed.
I have no further questions.
Any member of the board have any questions or comments for this? Seeing none, the next,
Thank you.
I'd like to call our engineer, Noel Young.
Sure.
Please say your name, spell your last name.
Noel Young, last name Young, Y-O-U-N-G. What? Yes,
Can you repeat that?
Y-O-U-N-G.
You swear or affirm to the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
You may proceed.
I believe you testified before this board.
yes,
Have your credentials changed in any way since the last time you appeared before this board?
You're still licensed in the state of New Jersey?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was last time, too. Yeah, well,
Is this, what I'm looking at now is on an easel, is that the plan you prepared?
Yes,
We have that marked as A1?
A1.
You want to indicate to the board what the plan indicates, or what shows about what you're going to be doing to the site?
Yeah, actually, is there any change between what was submitted to the board and what you have?
She's the one.
So, don't need to mark it, just make reference to whatever sheet you're making reference to.
Yeah, it's one of one.
Sheet 1-1.
Okay.
Proceed.
Yeah, okay. The site is located at the northeast quadrant of Lee Avenue and Dalman Street. It's a rectangular lot, 50 by 65. There's an existing right now two-story mixed-use building and some pavement in the back. That's all it is in the existing condition. The proposed condition is to make an addition to make this two-story building to be more in a box, and then also a storage area at the back, which around 400 square feet.
And again, that storage area in the back, that is going to be placed basically on the foundation that exists from the garage. Is that
That's correct, yeah. That was
So
it.
you're not changing any of the footings or anything, it's going to be
Right.
the same location?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Right. In terms of site grading, we're not changing any grading from pre-existing to proposing. From existing to proposed condition, we're not changing that. In terms of stormwater management, there is no increase in big runoff because what happened is that actually all of this is paved already, and we are reducing the pavement by introducing some shrub in the area, so we are not really increasing the stormwater runoff. In order to reduce the surface runoff on the pavement area, we are providing a roof drain for this new warehouse and put it in a 3-inch diameter pipe that will discharge in the street curb. In terms of landscaping, like the shrubs here, we put the spore shrubs. And in lighting, we are providing a wall-mounted Litonia LED lighting to cover this area here, the driveway area.
Right, okay, good.
And then, in order to prevent any spillage to the other side, we are providing a 6-foot board-on-board fence. And all utilities, existing gas, water, sewer, and electric, all of them will remain as the same. And basically, that's the only thing that we have. You know.
And the enclosure over the stairs coming from the second floor down, that's going to be made out of wood, or is that going to be made out of some other kind of material, you know? What is the enclosure going to be made of?
Enclosure for,
For this stairway?
I think it has to be, the architect have to material from inside the building.
Okay. What's the enclosure going to be made of? The enclosure over the stairs from the second floor to the first floor, what is that going to be made of? Is that going to be made of wood or some kind
Yeah,
of other
that
material?
will follow the existing building structure. Will be 2x6 at 16-inch on center with proper insulation, instead actually of the 2x4s that the entire building is, because I am following also a energy residential compliance calculation. So for the proper insulation, we'll use 2x6s.
And one last thing is the parking. In the plan, we show that there's 2 residential parking on the back, but that will now be only dedicated to loading and loading area.
For the storage area?
Storage area, yeah. I just want to.
I have no further questions.
Remember the board have any questions for this witness?
No, they don't.
Staying on your next witness.
Where, behind you.
Please state your name, spell your last name.
My name is Edward Colling, K-O-L-L-I-N-G.
You swear or affirm to the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may proceed.
Colin, are you a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I am also American Institute of Certified Planners. I'm certified. Actually graduated from Rutgers University in 1974. I've been licensed as a planner since the early 1980s.
You testified in front of 8 boards.
I testified in front of boards almost everywhere in the state of New Jersey. I was former director of planning in Jersey City in the 1980s, director of economic development in the city of Elizabeth in the 1990s, and I've been in practice pretty much, or in the field of planning, ever since I graduated from college.
Well, exception to the expert in the field of planning.
I'm going to leave you loose a little bit here. You want to indicate to the board what your findings have been in examining this plan and the application itself regarding the site and whether or not it's proper use of the site under the present zone and master plan.
Certainly. Well, as the board knows, this is an R5A zone. It's not a permitted use within this zone. However, the property has existed as a mixed-use building from my conversations with the owners, the applicants, I believe since the 1950s. So it's been a mixed-use building for like 60 years now, maybe, and perhaps more. What I understand is that at one time it was actually a meat shop or a butcher shop, a Hungarian store, because that was the neighborhood that was back then. So what we're asking for then is not a new use variance, a D1. We're asking for a D2 variance, which is a expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. So what I'm sure the board knows is, so what you look at is, would the granting of this variance make the site more compatible with the area, or beautify it, or make it more fit in with its surroundings, basically make it a better situation? I think in this case that certainly would be the case, because the building siding is a little worn, it's a little tired. The facade has more than a few signs on it. The proposal will be to redo the building, to clean up the signage, to put on new siding, and
I don't know where it's at.
Something I said.
Alright, sorry about that.
so, in addition, the idea of how to better store the refuse from the site instead of it being stored in the open. Now the addition of the storage facility will allow that to be maintained inside until it's put out. So if you look at all those aspects of the site, certainly the granting of the variance wouldn't result in any detriment, it would actually result in a benefit. And that granting of this variance for the D2 expansion would actually make the situation better. So I think based on those facts, the board could grant the D2 variance. It would support the number of the condition of the miscellaneous law, would be a municipal action that would encourage the appropriate use and development of the site in a manner which would promote the public health, safety, and welfare. The architect described how the building would be brought up to better code standards, safety code standards. That would be subparagraph B within 40:55-2 as well, to secure safety from fire, flood, etc. Site provides sufficient space and appropriate location for this type of commercial use. Obviously, it's been here for 60 years. It's been meeting a need within the community, and it continues to meet that need, and that's what the applicants want to continue to do. And it will promote a desirable visual environment by beautifying the building, creating the indoor refuse area, and things of that nature. We're also looking for a D4 floor area ratio variance, and as I said, this isn't a permitted use within the zone, so I would say that the FAR is really geared to a residential building. That's not what we have here. It's a building that's old and already exceeds the FAR. But I think in adding to the FAR, although we do need the variance for that, I think that it does create a beneficial impact by creating the additional storage area, by creating the area to keep the refuse off the streets. So the additional FAR, although increasing the variance, is really an improvement on the existing condition. And again, the proofs for a D4 are lesser than, say, a D1. We really just have to demonstrate that there would not be substantial detriment by granting the variance, and that the site can accommodate the additional FAR. And I would say that in this case it can, because in fact there had been the garage there just roughly 5 years ago. So rebuilding the garage, I don't think would result in any substantial detriment or overdevelopment of the site. And it makes the site function better by allowing loading off-street to get into the storage area, by allowing refuse off-street and being protected out at a site. So I think that FAR variance can also be granted because the site can accommodate the additional floor area without substantial detriment. Then you look at the bulk variances. As the attorney mentioned, most of these are pre-existing: lot size, depth, those sort of things. We are somewhat increasing the variances for the setbacks by the construction of the garage,
We don't want to call it a garage, it's a storage area.
Storage area. The construction of the storage area where the former garage was. There's a little bit, there's additional building coverage, obviously, since the storage area is being constructed. But I think you have to look at those more from the C2 criteria. I mean, you could look at it a little bit from the C1, since it's a pre-existing lot, it is smaller, it can't be expanded. But if you look at it from the C2 standard as to the benefits outweighing the detriments, I won't repeat all of what I feel are the benefits, but I guess I will be repeating them. The new siding, the improvements to the appearance of the building, taking the refuse off the street, all those sort of things that are there, the improvement to the code standards within the construction of the building, as the architect discussed. So if you look at all those benefits and then you take a look at what would be the detriments, I don't see a substantial detriment. The building has had mixed use in it for 60 years. It's not, the variance, the granting of the variance is not going to change that. As a matter of fact, if you deny the variance, it's not going to change that. The building could continue to exist as it is. So granting the variances would not result in any new substantial detriment to the intended purpose of the zone plan. And as to the impact on the general welfare, the public good, I think taking the refuse and being able to store it off-site, beautifying the building, again, I think it's beneficial to the general welfare and not detrimental at all. So again, I think you can see that the negative criteria is met and that the benefits would substantially outweigh the detriments.
Any questions?
Any member of the board have a question for this plan?
No.
Seeing none?
I have one other question for Mr. Escalante.
Sure.
The clientele that comes to your store, are they driving to your store? In most cases, they just walk into your store.
They just walk.
So you benefit the community that surrounds your store, is that correct?
Yes, we do.
And you serve that purpose for them?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you know.
I got a question for you. Do you set up canopies and product outside in the front of your store and sell goods from outside the store and on the sidewalk?
During the summertime, there's some fruits.
Okay. Do you have permits to do that from the city?
We asked the city if we were.
Do they give you a permit? Because I believe, to sell, to occupy the space on the front of the thing, you have to ask the city for expanded use of your property, I believe.
No, we don't have a permit for that.
I was just asking because I know when I drove by a couple times to look at the site, I noticed that. And it, when you put the canopies out there, it does impede the flow of, pedestrian traffic going down the sidewalk. That's why I was just asking. All right.
Now they know.
I mean, you could double check, but I'm almost positive that anytime you set up shop outside, the city requires you to get some kind of permit or permission from the city council to do that. If I were you, I would just check up on that.
I'll make sure I double check.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's the first question.
Anyone else? No. That's it. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the public for questions or comments. Please come forward and state your name over here.
My name is Vanessa Rodriguez, resident of 209 Talmadge Street in New Brunswick.
Spell your last name.
Rodriguez is R-O-D-R-I-G-U-E-Z.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to the whole truth and nothing but the truth? May I proceed?
So I'm here today because we are the property that is across the street from the store. From my understanding, you're saying that the property will only be building on in an existing area already? That garage has already been there, so you're just uplifting it or something?
No, my clients had indicated, what my understanding of the proposal is, there was a garage there. It was taken down, the footings are still there. We're going to put up a storage area on that same exact foot face. We're not going to expand it out or do anything.
So the store isn't expanding?
No,
No.
no, it's just a
All
storage.
right. Well, that's what we thought as residents of the area, that it would be expanding. We have been residents there for I'm 36, I lived there until I was 12. My parents have been at this house for 22 years. There's been 3 different owners of that store prior to the owners now. And we have a serious case of a lot of trash and noise. So at first we thought it was that they were expanding, which my first opinion is we have 5 other mini markets, bodega slash store slash convenience, whatever you want to call them. There's 5, and we're in a residential area. So the noise is an issue, the trash is an issue. We were ticketed in 2016 for trash on our property. Our home takes up the corner of Lee and Talmadge, so we're responsible for the trash that's being thrown on that area. It's constantly bags coming from that area. Not pointing fingers, but sometimes people do park there and they're not going to the store. It might just be closed and trash is being deposited on that side of the house, which we don't blame them for that at all. But it is accumulation of trash on a non-stop. It's non-stop. Previously, it wasn't that much of a problem. But now my parents would be considered snowbirds, so they go away and I pick up the trash. I'm a block captain for 3 years for the city of New Brunswick. I work with Ms. Canuto, making sure that we pick up the trash in the area. To me, it's just disheartening that my parents have retired and that they have to wake up at 7, 8, 9, 10 and pick up all the trash that's being accumulated here. It doesn't only accumulate on the grass, which when we got ticketed and we fought the ticket, they indicated that you're responsible for 25 feet out of the curb. That's what I was.
25 inches.
Inches, sorry.
I was going to say 25
Feet,
inches.
inches of the curb, which, you know, it's me picking up broken bottles, plastic bags, and they also accumulate in the draining of our area. Because our area is kind of like on a slant, I believe, the water is coming down, it stops because of all the accumulation. We spoke to Ms. Camuto about having a trash can on our side, they have a trash can on their side, and it's great. But I've been talking to Kevin from the mayor's office, and Kevin Jones, and he had indicated that they also found out that what people are doing is coming from other counties like Somerset, where you have to pay to take your trash out, and they're coming and dropping their trash off at these public trash bins. So for us, it's more of, yes, collaborating together and figuring out how we're going to do this, and also the noise. It's great to be happy on a Friday and pump your music and be happy, you know, your favorite song on, but it's a non-stop situation.
And the music's coming from their store?
No, not from their stores, but with the clientele. So when they say that a lot of it's foot traffic, a lot of people go to that store for driving as well. We have issues with even people doing U-turns in our driveways, blocking our driveways, running into the store. But there's not only that store. There's a hair salon across the street. There's also a hair salon down the street. So I understand there's a lot of people. We don't have anyone here. It's just me and my parents today. Why? Because we have also this thing that's going around in our town where nobody's taking responsibility for their actions in terms of trash or any of these things because they all rent. So the owners are never there. They never, they never tell their tenants, listen, you need to put your trash in a trash bag. Listen, you need to take the trash out this day. We'll have TVs, we'll have mattresses, we'll have things, and it's because these owners are not being held accountable for their properties. So people that do live there and they stay in New Brunswick, they have to be responsible for this. And we understand that it's our property and this is what we decided we got ourselves into 20 some odd years since 1997. But it'd be great to have collaboration on the trash, the noise, and everything else. And that's all I have to say.
Can I just ask you one question?
Sure, absolutely.
Would you say it's helpful if my client's going to enclose the trash area where they keep their stuff?
It would be somewhat helpful, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think collaborating together, it's not about pointing fingers, but working together. As I said, this is my opinion, I'm not certified in anything, and college graduate in public communication, but I think that every business in New Brunswick should have a block captain, should have one designated person that comes to these city meetings and says, this is what's happening in my community, this is the trash that's going on. I've been in New Brunswick, I was born in New Brunswick, born and raised in New Brunswick, went to St. Peter's High School, went to St. Mary's, Mount St. Mary's on Sanford. I'm a parish, my parish is St. Mary's. You know, I'm not here to point fingers again, I'm here to say I'm a part of the community and I want to see my community be better. I love to see that things are growing and expanding and that they're getting better, but we also have to make sure that our people that have been here for however many years are also being heard. So,
Thank you.
Just for the record, my clients are on that site every day, every single day, so they're not absentee, they're there.
yeah. No, I know that they're there, but we're there too.
No, I understand.
Yeah. We had to put cameras on our property. They have cameras as well, which is understandable because they're a business. We had to put floodlights, 3 censored floodlights, one on our garage, one on the side of the house, one on the opposite side where their business is. They have lights as well, but sometimes it's just, and I have family members that work for the police department. My husband works for the fire department, and I'm like, what can we do? I see that there's a police officer always in the parking lot for St. Mary's. They're always there, but they're not roaming around. So, we also have people loitering in that area at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, honking of the horns. I mean, I know that we can't control, I don't know how we can control that, but if we work together, that would be great for us to be able to make our community better. And if we're making amazing and beautiful changes to it, why not start with that? So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else on the public? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion of the comments. Board discussion? Anyone have any questions, comments on this application?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Conditions?
Sure, the board act favorably. Conditions of approval would include compliance with the terms of the DNR engineering report dated September 24th, 2019, submission of all necessary easements and or cross-access agreements for review and approval by the board attorney, city engineer, prior to filing of same, payment of a site performance bond and amount to be reviewed and approved by the city engineer, submission of a site inspection escrow deposit for engineering inspection fees, amount calculated pursuant to city ordinance, payment of all water, sewer, and road opening permits to the city engineer if required. Compliance with the terms of the Big Mail Planning Consultants. Report dated August 6, 2019. Monetary tree contribution to the city's tree preservation fund. Amount to be determined by ordinance. Planning review escrow fund for all anticipated post-approval reviews. Payment of all outstanding taxes, water, and or sewer fees. Middlesex County Planning Board approval or waiver. Mr. Carley, did you require any revised engineering plans?
Well, let me take a look at my, now, for the board's edification, I think we had 3 TAC meetings with this application, and my review reflects the fact that the plans by JJJ Associates have been refined to the extent I don't believe we will.
All utilities and other site improvements to be maintained by the applicant at their own sole expense. All on-site utilities to be constructed underground. All temporary encroachments of the public right-of-way shall require city council approval. All construction staging shall be done on-site unless an encroachment allowed in the public right-of-way is granted by city council. Streets shall be kept clean of sediment and debris. The applicant shall cause the streets to be cleaned if directed to do so by the Director of Public Works. Tracking pad shall be installed at all construction exits. Replacement of any damaged streets, curbs, and sidewalks as per the direction of the city engineer. Variances are for expansion of a non-conforming use, floor area ratio, 2 side yard setback variances, 1 building coverage variance, 1 impervious coverage variance, and parking variance. As far as conditions of approval, I just did have one that was, the applicant testified that they would remove the illegal signs and submit a site plan for the site.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue Elliott.
Yes.
Michael Belton,
Yes.
Nancy Coppola,
Yes.
Evan Adorno,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.